Hey, good morning. It's Tuesday, June 3rd. Welcome back to Everyday Talk 24/7. We're talking about the impact of music on our lives, how it shapes our lives. And today, we're going to look at the difference between weekly sermons and daily songs. Something we probably don't think very much about. Weekly sermons or daily songs. In 2023, a study by the University of Durham in the UK found that music lyrics are more easily remembered by our brains than non-lyrical speech. And I've been doing research on this, blogs on neuroscience, articles, neuroscience journals, music and psychology journals. This is amazing what's happening. See, studies in cognitive neuroscience suggest that music engages multiple areas of the brain, making it easier to retain lyrics than non-lyrical speech, as in a sermon. So in a sermon, you're just hearing and seeing. But with music, you're getting hit with several different areas, especially like you're watching a music video. So the brain is engaging in far more activity when it's engaging in music. So therefore, a combination of rhythm, melody, and repetition cause musical lyrics to sink deeply into our minds, much more readily than ordinary speech. Okay, why is this important? Remember last time we looked at this passage in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 that says this: "The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of pleasure." Remember, a fool is someone who lives and acts as if there is no God. And then verse 5, listen to this carefully in terms of our theme. "It is better to heed the rebuke of a wise person than to listen to the song of fools." And of course, the songs of fools don't come across like they're fools. They come across like they know you, like they understand you. Man, I get that. I resonate with that. I feel that. But if it's not based upon what God's truth is, no matter how deeply it moves you, it's a song of fools. Here's some examples of the scripture where listening to the wrong kind of music and not paying attention to it has been destructive. We know about the children of Israel when they rebelled against Moses while Moses is up on the mountain, and Moses comes down and they're in a party mode, singing, dancing, and whatever. Amos, the prophet, tells us this. He says he's chastising Israel for their turning away from God. Amos 6, verses 3 to 7. "You've put off the day of disaster and bring near a reign of terror." In other words, they shoved the promises of God, the warnings of the prophets, they just put them off, they shove them away. But what they're doing is they're bringing on a reign of terror. "You lie on beds ordained with ivory, adorned with ivory, and lounge on your couches. You dine with choice lambs and with fattened calves. You strum away on your harps like David and improvise on musical instruments." In other words, we're partying and we're getting creative with our music. "You drink wine by the bowlful and use the finest lotions, but you do not grieve over the ruin of Joseph. Therefore, you will be among the first to go into exile. Your feasting and lounging will end." See, they're in relaxed party mode, shoving off the reality of God, turning away from the wise rebuke, and embracing the songs of fools. Isaiah has the same warning for us. In chapter 5, verses 11 to 14. "Woe to those who rise early in the morning to run after their drinks, who stay up late at night till they are inflamed with wine. They have harps and lyres at their banquets, pipes and timbrels and wine. But they have no regard for the deeds of the Lord, no respect for the work of his hands. Therefore my people will go into exile for lack of understanding." See, You can even be festive and party if it's about the right things. But they use the music to turn away from God. It's the music of fools instead of the wise rebuke. Those of high rank will die in hunger, and the common people will be parched with thirst. Therefore death expands its jaws, opening wide its mouth. Into it will descend their nobles and masses, with all their brawlers and revelers. In other words, the music is leading them away from the voice of the prophets and to the voice of pleasure, putting away God's call for change. Colossians takes up the same theme and says this: see to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophy, which depends on human tradition and the elemental spiritual forces of this world rather than on Christ. See, these songs of fools, no matter how appealing they may be, they're turning us away from Christ and buying in to the forces of this world, the spiritual forces, which have nothing to do with Jesus. I'm not telling you not to stop listening to music, other than, scriptural music. What I am saying is beware of the music you listen to and the lyrics that you listen to. Every song has a worldview. Let me say that again. Every song that you listen to, no matter how tame it may be, it has a worldview. It's pushing something. And if it's not pushing the honor and glory of God, it's pushing the song of fools that Ecclesiastes warns us about. Don't turn off your mind. Don't even turn off the song. Be at war. Realize how you're being influenced. That's the message here that we need to be aware of. Evaluate how you're being influenced, especially in light of the last sermon you heard. Yeah. God ordained these sermons for us. We get them once a week, but they get lost in the repetitive, rhythmic songs that we listen to. Some of them may be very beautiful, some of them may be very good songs. But if we're not aware of the worldview that's being inundated upon us, not aware that our minds are going to be more receptive to this music, the music of fools, than to the sermon that you just heard. See, the reality is that the music you listen to is likely influencing you more than the last sermon that you heard. And say, I'm not saying get rid of the music. What I'm saying is evaluate. Understand the worldview. Understand why God brought that last sermon to you. And evaluate the things that you hear, not just music everywhere, but especially music. Evaluate the songs of fools, people who have no love for God, in light of what God's teaching you in the sermons. Work at it. We have so many distractions. In that one sermon, 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes, that one sermon goes against hours of music, which is designed to sink more deeply into our brain, and our brains are more naturally receptive to it. Embrace music that's going to point you to Christ. Evaluate music in light of what God's teaching you in the sermons that you hear and the teachings that you hear. That's something to think about. That's an element of music we must not forget about, because it impacts us deeply. Weekly sermons, daily songs. Things to think about this night, this day. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday. And again, I love your thoughts and your feedback. But if things aren't going as well as you'd like, maybe if the sermons are not getting home, maybe it's because you're engaged in this warfare and listening to the songs of fools and not even recognizing it. Again, that's the thought. Love your thoughts, feedback. Thank you for being here. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.